All right. Pretty shitty day. The bonus bets that I ended up betting on actually ended up going 3-4. I think I went 2-1 in NBA. But man, these games sucked. Usually these games are just like, massive backdoors, but all of these games just sucked. South Florida, they kept it close for most of the game, but Charlotte just something I didn't really consider, and I need to start considering more when I'm betting against Charlotte is that yes, they go to the free throw line a shit ton, but two of the best players for South Florida fouled out early, and they were just left with a bunch of bums to end the game off, and it just looked like, yeah, just a messy game on the road. American, that one really pissed me off. Yeah, they were dominating pretty much all of the early game. I think they were up like 15 at some point, and then just kept letting this Lehigh team go on these runs. And then the second half was just back and forth. They couldn't seem to pull ahead until the very last second, where they hit like all of their shots in the last 2 minutes to win by one, including a buzzer beater. So fortunately, they didn't wake up earlier, but that one sucked. Baylor, man, they ended up winning this game by like eight or nine, but they just did. They were asleep in the entire first 35 minutes of the game. They did nothing. They just kept getting outplayed by Kansas State everywhere. I wish they, realized that they were a significantly better team later. Omi, or the guy that I really liked on Baylor, did fuck all for the first half. I think he was like 0 for 8. Yeah. And last one, probably my worst call of the night, San Diego State. Yeah, I knew it was a revenge spot, but I didn't really truly realize, how hard this Navy team would actually be playing. Or sorry, this Air Force team. Yeah, if you were watching the game, they were trying extremely hard. Like they were motivated to get that revenge. Maybe it's a military thing. It's something I have to look at more next time. But yeah, I didn't think that would make up for the skill difference. But they were outworking San Diego State, and they almost won the game outright. But San Diego State hit a buzzer beater, so shitty one. And Stanford, at least I got one right. Yeah, they dominated pretty much that entire game. I think fading Miami, especially on the road, is just a free money at this point. So I'm gonna keep doing it until it stops paying. Anyway, let's move on to the games for tomorrow. All right, so this is more of just a fading Monmouth spot. This Monmouth team has not been very good, and I think this Elon team is going to shut them down offensively. They're 291st in offensive efficiency. They typically just shoot mid-range shots, and they don't shoot it well. They're 346th in the nation in mid-range shots. Now they're up against an Elon team at home who defends the mid-range at the 50th best in the nation. I think they're going to really trouble to score. The only thing where I can see them getting points is off steals. But again, Monmouth has played a relatively easy schedule strength. I think despite Elon being really bad at giving up turnovers, I don't think that's going to be a big enough of a difference maker here, just because of how stuffed they're going to be on the other side. On the other end, Elon, they're a team that gets a shit ton of free throws, and Monmouth fouls a lot. They don't shoot the free throws that well, but Monmouth is not a deep team, so if any players of their starting team get into foul trouble, they're going to be putting out some like 5'8" players. I just think this Elon team is above and beyond this Monmouth team. They've had a really big issues with transfer portal, and Elon is just going to just light them up, especially slamming the offensive boards, which they do really well. Um, if you look at the trends between these two teams, Elon has played not incredibly well at home, but definitely a lot better than Monmouth has played on the road. If you look at their power ratings, Elon is a top 100 in home team. They have a top 100 home advantage. And on the other side, this Monmouth team plays really good at home. They have the 7th best home advantage in college basketball. But once they hit the road, they don't play well. They're 285th in away rating. I think they really rely on that home edge to do anything. And yeah, I just think this Elon team, they're not really good at playing teams that are kind of in the similar skill level as them, but they definitely love to play really hard against better teams and punch down and punch up. But if they punch sideways, they seem to struggle. So, yeah, I think let this Elon team continue to roll. They've won 6 of their last 8, and the last time they lost a game, which they just lost one to Delaware, they won on a pretty dominant 2-win streak. So they're coming off an away L, coming at home, classic spot. And this Monmouth team is going to continue their road trip after they just got blown out by a Campbell team that I think is much worse than Elon is. So Elon as the first game to win by 10 points. All right, heading into the second game, we have Iona heading on the road to play Rider. This Rider team, they have been playing better as of late, but I still think this Iona team is a much better team. And they typically are a bit more consistent in the way they get points. This Rider team, they shoot a lot of mid-range shots near basket. They kind of just live in the paint. And this Iona team, not necessarily known to be a defensive prowess team, but they definitely limit the amount of shots you're able to get off. This Rider team, yes, they shoot a lot of paint shots and mid-range shots, but they still shoot those, in bottom 300, bottom 200 offensive categories. And they may find some success on the boards, but I think the difference in this game is going to come down to the fact that this Iona team has a pretty favorable matchup in their mid-range shot that they shoot almost all the time when they're down on the floor. But the biggest reason I love Iona here is because I think they're going to get a shit ton of points off steals. They're the 4th best team at getting points off steals in the league. And when you're coming against these two teams, right, 327th in offense efficiency and 316th in offense efficiency, points off steals is, you want to find all the points you can get. And I think Iona is going to find more success off of these fast break points where there's no defenders and it's a free layup rather than both these teams bricking mid-range shots. So, furthermore, this Iona team is due for a lot of positive regression. One of the top 10 teams due for positive regression, and Rider is basically playing at where they should be, which is really bad. If you look at a few more trends that kind of bounce here, this Rider team, they're 1-4 against the spread at home, and this Iona team on the road is 3-4, which isn't great, but the teams that they have played on the road have been significantly better than this team. So, yeah, give me this Iona team to continue to finally get back on track. They've lost 4 of their last 6, but this Rider team, I think, is due for a letdown spot after they just won their last 3 games. Yeah, give me the Iona Gales to win this game on the road against the Rider. All right, game number 3, we have Fairfield heading on the road to play Manhattan. Now, Manhattan has screwed me once. Last time I bet them. They're not on my ban list yet, but they did piss me off. But I think this is a good matchup for them at home against a Fairfield team that I think they are, significantly better than. If you look at the matchup on the offensive end, Manhattan is not a great offensive team, but they're 168th in the nation, and they shoot every kind of shot relatively well. And they typically get a lot of points off threes in mid-range, and they have 2 really favorable matchups there. Fairfield does not defend the 3 well at all. They defend at the 356th worst. They don't defend the mid-range well, and these are both shots that Manhattan is borderline top 100 at. If you look on the other side, this Fairfield team, they also shoot mid-range, near basket, and threes. And Manhattan's defense is just as bad as Fairfield's, but this Fairfield team doesn't, they shoot the ball a lot. They like to chuck them up, but they shoot everything in the 300, ranked 300th, and basically everything. They just huck them up all the time. So I don't think this is necessarily I think that both these defenses suck, but Manhattan's offense is definitely a lot more proven than this Fairfield team. If you look at the trends between these 2 teams, Manhattan has definitely been the better team. They haven't necessarily played that great at home yet this year, which is really my only concern. They've been kind of more of a road team. But I do think this is just a good enough spot for them. Not like Fairfield has played great on the road, and in these conference games, Manhattan has definitely been significantly better than Fairfield. This Fairfield team, they're just coming off a 11-point loss at home to a Canisius team that is significantly worse than Manhattan. And Niagara, Manhattan just beat a pretty, I wouldn't say a solid Niagara team, but a better than Canisius team at home. After a rough 2-game losing streak, they're back at home. I think they're going to continue to roll here. Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, I think Manhattan to win by more than 3.5. Now, I don't particularly love taking Middle Tennessee on the road. Typically, teams that are due for a lot of regression regress on the road, but they have played much better on the road this year than they have at home. And the Sam Houston team is just a mid, 200 team. Like, I don't think they do anything incredibly well. Middle Tennessee has had a harder strength of schedule. They're a borderline top 100 team. I think Sam Houston is a borderline top 200 team. Really, the only thing that is not really going well for Middle Tennessee is the fact that they are due for some regression. They may be playing a bit better than they should be, but I like them in the spot. If you look at their matchup, the Sam Houston team is really not a great defensive team. They're ranked 272 in defense efficiency. And the shots that Middle Tennessee likes to take are near basket shots, and they are 133rd in near basket percentage to Sam Houston's 127th. And the even bigger deal for me and why I really like Middle Tennessee in this spot is the rebounding. Now, Middle Tennessee is the 12th best offensive rebounding team in the nation, up against Sam Houston that just cannot defend their own boards. They're 320th in defending their own boards. So Middle Tennessee is probably going to live in the paint, and they're going to shoot a lot of pretty easy, high-quality shots. I think the difference between these two teams is massive. Even with regression, I think the Sam Houston team, even though I bet them a lot last year, I don't think they've been nearly as reliable as they have been in the past. Now, on the other side of the floor, Middle Tennessee, still a pretty solid defense, top 100 defense, 97th in defense efficiency, and Sam Houston is about equally as good of an offensive team as Middle Tennessee is, but they're basically one rank off of each other. But the shots that Sam Houston likes to take are mid-range shots, and that is something that Middle Tennessee defends well, 123rd in the nation. Sam Houston shoots the mid-range at the 300th best in the nation, so not even well at all. They're not really going to get any free points off steals or second chance opportunities. Even schedule strength, Middle Tennessee's at a harder schedule strength, and they're still, beating them in all of these categories, and we're getting such a short line. Perhaps I'm missing something. Maybe there's some injuries that I'm not unaware of. I know this Kamari Lands individual is injured. Let me just confirm live here if he's an important member. Probably something I should have done earlier, but fuck it, we'll do it live. Statistics. Yeah, so he's not even a top 5 player. He's averages 9.2 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist a game. He's a solid depth piece, guard, but this is a pretty deep MTSU team. And I think having their 4, they already have like infinite guards. I think Bufford will step up. Not necessarily too concerned. Plus, it's not like a guarantee that he's out. He's just questionable. So I think he still will play. If he doesn't play, that doesn't change my opinion on how different these two teams are. So I don't think the regression bug is going to hit in this game. I think Middle Tennessee is, miles a better team on both ends of the floor, and they match up better too. So give me Middle Tennessee. You can take the spread. I'm taking them on the money line just to be safe. All right, and the last game that I like tomorrow is the Southern Indiana versus SIUE game. Now, this SIUE team is a team that I've kind of like to bet when the matches are right, and this just seems like a great spot. So the Southern Indiana team, they basically only get points off of steals, and they shoot mid-range shots, and occasionally they'll shoot a near basket. But if you look at the matchup, those are all things that this SIUE team defends well. They're 70th in the nation at defending the mid-range. They're 149th in defending the near basket, 128th in minimizing turnovers. And it's not like this SN team is like a great mid-range team. They're 316th in the nation. So I think it's a huge mismatch in where they typically like to shoot versus where SIUE defends. And they're on the road. Um, yeah. If you look on the other side, this SIUE team, they like to shoot mid-range shots. They shoot basically everything. And despite the fact that SN does have a decent mid-range defense, I think SIUE is going to find some success from the three-point land. They'll get some points off steals, get some second chance opportunities. So I just think that with a short line like this, getting the home team, the better team, that is the home team, on a relatively short line. Yes, again, I understand these teams are kind of opposite in regression. This SIUE team is due for some significant negative regression, and the Southern Indiana team is due for some positive regression. But I don't think I typically try to avoid massive numbers. I don't think that the massive gap here is going to be reflected in strictly off of regression. Now, home-wise, SIUE plays better at home. They're 120th in the nation in home advantage. And this Indiana team plays much better at home as well. They don't play well on the road, 310th in away rating. And you look at against their matchups against bad teams, this SIUE team definitely has a significantly better record than Southern Indiana in playing teams of shitty quality. And yeah, SIUE has looked really good the last few games. If you look at their most recent games, they've won 5 of their last 6, and now they're coming off a loss, so they're kind of due for a bounce back game at home after they just took a rough L in a game that they probably should have won. And on the other side, we have Southern Indiana that after losing 5 games have just won 2 games against 2 awful teams in Lindenwood and Western Illinois. Now they're heading on the road to play a team that just lost on the road going home. It seems like a great matchup to get a solid SIUE team at home. If you look at the matchup, SIUE has won their last 4 games at home. They beat Tennessee Tech by 12, beat Lindenwood by 11, they beat Western Illinois by 11, they beat a no-name team by 48, whatever. But on the other side, Southern Indiana, last 4 road games they've lost, except for one. They beat against Bellarmine, who is a pretty bad team. So I think we're getting a really good number here. And I think typically regression hits harder when you hit the road. I think SIUE is going to win this game by double digits. So yeah. All right, and those are the 5 games that I do sort of like for tomorrow. I'm probably going to start changing it up a little bit. Maybe try to do some more high-profile games. Obviously, these are some bum-ass teams, and the reliability of them typically is a bit lower. Like the standard deviation of the spreads are pretty massive when you compare it to an absolute error to the official spread lines. So I don't particularly love betting these, despite them being my favorite games. So I might start talking about more of the high-profile games on here. Maybe in a separate video, since I typically don't like to bet them that much. And when I do bet them, I get games like Baylor, where one of the best home teams in the nation just fucking doesn't do anything for 40 minutes. But it is what it is. In terms of my bonus bets, I'm going to try to do at least 3 a day. These are games that I'm just betting at half a unit, that I kind of just like their spot. Typically more disgusting games. Idaho State team, they're 7-1 against the spread on the road. They're heading off against a pretty dog shit Sacramento State team. But this is strictly a model play for me. I have them winning by a significant margin. They're just a better team all around. They've had there's really nothing that Sacramento State does better than Idaho State, and we're getting a pretty short number on them on a team that has played really well on the road. So yeah, just a fade Sacramento State spot. San Diego, one of, if not the worst offensive team in college basketball. They freaking stink, but I think they have a good matchup here because they're playing Portland, who is one of the worst defensive teams in the nation. I think the San Diego's defense is not as bad as their offense. The gap between their offense and defense between Portland's offense and defense. And Portland doesn't really play that well at home. I think we're getting 3 points on a team that I know they suck. This is a really dirty one, but I have it modeled as a pick'em give me 3 points with any team on the road, especially when it's these kind of really bad teams. I know. Well, I think San Diego could pull off an upset here in this West Coast matchup. And the last one, we have Eastern Illinois. Another nasty one. Obviously, Eastern Illinois is not a fantastic team. They're ranked 330th in the nation. But I think this Moorhead team is super overrated in Ohio Valley. Obviously, they're going to find some success, but they're not that good of a team. They're ranked outside of the top 300 in offense efficiency. And they're ranked 238th in defense efficiency. This Eastern Illinois team has played better at home, and they're due for a lot of regression. And I typically like these spots at home against other bad teams for these shitty teams to get their comeuppance with their regression. So those are my 3 kind of nasty bonus bets. If anyone wants to know my opinion on the bigger games, I think Illinois probably covers the big number against Maryland. They've just been really good at home. I think St. Mary's covers the big number at home versus San Francisco. I think San Francisco are frauds. I think Washington State covers as the dog against Santa Clara. I think Santa Clara has been playing over their head. It's a great letdown spot after they just beat Gonzaga. I think those are probably the only interesting games we're talking about for tomorrow. So, yeah, if you have any questions, leave them down below. I'd love to give you my opinion on them. Obviously, today wasn't great, but this is probably the first day where I felt like I just made some bad picks. Some things I hadn't considered in analyzing them, specifically as it relates to the San Diego State game and the South Florida game. One South Florida game being the fact that key players would foul out or be benched because they might be fouling out soon, and the whole bounce back spot. Kind of hard to handicap the impact of bounce back spots, but next time I'm just not going to bother betting it. I just thought, after they beat them by 30 like a week ago, revenge spot, can it make up the difference of 17 points? Or in this case, 29 points? I guess it can. But yeah, it is what it is. C'est la vie. I'll probably slam San Diego State when they head back home, because they just lost 2 games in a row, and I think they play better in front of their home crowd anyway. So, yeah, that's everything, and I will see you guys tomorrow.